I just want to go into the basics. So you're thinking about backpacking. I want to talk about how do you pack a backpack. A little bit about the gear that I have. I have done a loadout video before. I'll probably do another one coming into season. And I'll talk a little bit about the equipment and why I use what I use. But when it comes to backpacking, there's a certain way that you should pack a backpack so that it's nice and comfortable when you're on the trail. And also, it's just fun to talk about gear. So I figured, why not with my first, go live is to just talk about packing a pack. So first off, let's go with, how many people do we have out there, Ian? Got 3 or 4? All right, cool. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get with this. This is a Granite Gear Crown 2 60 liter. Now that means 60 liters. This is a good backpack for anything from winter all the way through all the different seasons. I prefer probably like 45 liter for spring, summer, and fall because you don't need as much gear, but a 60 just kind of gets you through everything. And this is sort of a mid-weight one. It's not totally ultralight. Back in my day, this would be like seriously ultralight, but it's a nice pack. It's only a couple pounds and it does the job. So what we're gonna talk about is how you actually pack a pack. There's certain things that I've learned when you actually, the way that you pack it, not just because you want to get into the things and actually take them out, but also to give you a stable load as you're actually like scrambling up and down hills and stuff. So the way that it is basically the bottom is lighter things. You'll see I put my sleeping bag down in the bottom, and then you put heavier stuff towards your mid back right here, right up against your back. You try to get your heavier things like your tent and such. And then around the top and the front here, you get the lighter things so that you're not pulled way back and kind of doing like a turtle in your backpack and being pulled back on there. And then there's the brain, which is my favorite part of the actual backpack, the lid, because those are the things that you're going to get to that you need all the time, like your pooping setup, so that if you need to go, you grab it. Water purification system. There's different things that I keep on the outside that are real handy so that you don't have to unpack your pack as you're actually on a trip. So let's get into this. First item is my sleep system. So this is an OR dry bag. And it has my sleeping quilt in it. Sierra Design sleeping quilt. Now I use a sleeping quilt. Some of you that are new might not know what that is, but it's basically like a sleeping bag up till about your thighs, and then it opens up wide like a quilt and just lays over top of you. So you don't have something underneath you. This just kind of lays over top of you. So I have my sleeping quilt in here and also my pillow. It's a blow up pillow as well. And this goes down right in the bottom and fills it nice on the bottom. Why that is, because it's only a couple pounds. So having that lightweight on the bottom is really great, plus a nice little solid platform at the bottom there. Okay, second is my bedroll, or my actual bed mat. Now I use Climate, and I absolutely love Climate. This is a company called Massdrop. If you haven't heard of Massdrop, if you have, go ahead and put it in the links there. Give me a thumbs up. But Massdrop, what they do is it's a website. A bunch of people go together and buy something, and then they purchase like 150 of them, and they get them at a cheaper rate. So the more people that purchase, the cheaper it gets. So that's how I got this Climate one. It's actually a Massdrop one, but this one has R value. It's really important that your sleeping mat has R value, especially when you use a quilt, because you don't have any type of like sleeping bag underneath you. So this has an R value of 4.4, and it works really nice, keeps me warm and insulated from the ground. So I usually shove that down to the bottom. So reason being, now I've got things that I'm really not going to use at the bottom until I get into camp and I can unpack everything. I'm not going to use those during the day. So second thing, or the next big thing, is my tent. Now this looks really weird because it's just in an OR dry bag, but I do feel like when you get normal tents, you know how they're really round? They don't really fit well against this, like your back right here. So I like to split it up. So it's basically the tent and the fly and the poles and things. So it's more of a kind of square, flat type platform. This is by far the heaviest item that you're gonna have in your tent, or in your pack. So this is the piece that goes like right up against your back right here. So we'll slide that one in. Oh, this is a Sierra Design clip flashlight. It's really a 2-person, but really it's like a 1-person and a dog, because it's pretty tiny, but I've had it for years. Absolutely love it. So put that in there. Now you put it all the way to the back. But at this point now, I like to put, at this point now, I kind of like to put my clothing in, because the clothing's kind of light, so I put it on the outside. For me, I usually carry what I'm wearing, of course, and then an extra t-shirt for when we get to camp. I can put on a dry t-shirt, something that's not sweaty, a long sleeve shirt, and extra socks. That's about it that I have in here, except for rain gear. which I'll get to in a minute. So I usually shove that. Again, this is all in dry bags, mainly because then I don't have to put a cover over my my backpack when it's raining, and it'll just work out fine. So that goes in right to the front now. Now you can see that I kind of have these open spots on the sides. That's where I slide in other things. All right. Those people who are big backpackers, but for your newbies, like carrying a hammock and a tent is like a weird thing, but this is my luxury item. Nothing better than getting to a camp and having a hammock to kind of lay in. I really can't lay in one all night long and sleep in it, so use it as like a actual tent shelter, that type of thing. But when it comes down to it, a hammock is amazing, so that's going in here. This is pretty heavy too. This is like 3 pounds. Go ahead in the chat, put in what are some things that you carry, if you do backpack, what are some things that you carry that are kind of crazy? I actually, trip ever, I carried this Walkman. Yep, this Walkman with the actual tapes in it and everything. I actually carried extra tapes, not just this Jason's Jam Mix number 2. I probably brought Jason's Jam Mix number 3 as well with me, but yeah, had that baby hooked right on my backpack with the tunes on going. So what are some of the things people putting them in there? E? What do we got? Let's go to the chat. I can't see a thing. Let me put my glasses on. You gotta give it to me. All right, we'll just set you over here so I can see you in the chat. That'll work better. Okay, so cost conscious, do you think I could hike the AT with your budget gear of choice? Yes, actually, why I got turned on to this pack was because people were using it on the AT and finding great success with it. I have hiked the AT, I have sections of it, but never the entire thing. But when it comes down to it, when people hike the AT, I think it's all about what you're comfortable with. You'll end up getting rid of a lot of things anyway. I have some close friends that did the whole through hike, and they started with a bunch of stuff, but after you're there, like you're walking for like a week or two, you really realize what you do need and what you don't. And then when you go and get another, like one of your meal drops or, you know, supply drops, you'll ship a bunch of stuff home because you realize you don't need it. But there's folks out there that actually have hiked the AT that do it very budget, Walmart style type stuff. So really, if you just believe in the gear that you have and it works for you, that's what I would say, hike your hike. So that's for sure. All right, let's get into my kitchen. So thought this would sit there well. There we go. So now my kitchen. I use this OR bag. Osprey makes them, but there's nothing better for a kitchen than a bag that opens up like this. Reason being is because I've used duffel bags and such, like these type, but you're always digging for the stuff at the bottom. What's nice is you can get this and just kind of clamshell it open, and you can get to everything and kind of keep it clean. Like if you have your spoon and you're reaching for it, where's my awesome spoon? Yeah, like this guy right here, my long spork, my favorite eating utensil in the world. You can set it right in there like that, and it's not going to be on the ground in the dirt. So I really like these open type. So I've got fuel in here, my stove, my bowl, my pot, all the different things to do cooking with. So I really love this. All right, there's like in gray too. I went with red because I don't know, it was like fire cooking. I don't know, it was psychological, I guess. But so this will go in, and usually I put this pretty close to the top, mainly because if we stop, usually I don't cook at lunch, but sometimes if we're on a unique trail where we're hiking and such, we'll stop and cook. This is my food bag. There's no food in it except for one like dehydrated meal, but this is what I would fill up normally. And I've always been somebody that hangs their food. I know that that's becoming like a non-trendy thing, that people are using the actual barrels or the actual bags that you can tie to a tree, and they show you where the bears are actually pulling on it and they can't break it and tear it apart and all those types of things. What I find really weird about that is if you watch those videos of the bears taking that bag and they can't get to it and they're chewing on it, they have just crumbled and crushed every bit of food you could possibly have in that bag. So I kind of wonder why that'd be useful. Maybe you guys who use it, you can comment about it, but I don't know. Fifth of whiskey, love it. as your luxury item. That's always good. I had a brother that basically would bring a six-pack and whatever was left in his bags. One time he showed up at the camp because he came late, and he had a six-pack of beer and some liquor, and he put it in the river or in the lake we were at to cool it off. And then when we were making dinner, he reached in his bag, all he had was one ramen. We were out there for like 2 or 3 days, but he was fine with it because he had his alcohol. He'd already had a couple beers in him on the walk-in too. So yeah, there are definitely those that use alcohol as their motivator for hiking. All right, now next, this is something that everybody should have. This is my go bag, my ditty bag, whatever, that type of thing. I think I might do a live on this one. I have everything in here. I have a bit of twine, Motrin, ferro rod, hat. There's so many things in here that if I was to go missing, this is the bag that I'd want to take. If I lost all this stuff, I'd want this bag with me because I can start a fire. I can do a lot of things with this. My med kit's in here, all those types of things. So this is something that I do keep at the top of my bag, just so if I get into it during the day, if I need to, flashlights in there and so many different things. This is one that I keep on the top. What I like too is it's waterproof, and I could also just sling it on the outside, but I usually just toss it inside because it's, with a 60 liter, you've got the room. So those are the main components that I put inside the pack. I forgot to talk about this. This is my rain gear. Depending on if it's going to be rainy or not, this will go inside. But if you have one of the Granite Gear packs, or so many of the packs have this shove it now, like I think this is the perfect spot for rain gear on the front because it's super light. It just goes right in, and if you ever need it, there you have it. I'm a big talking about the affordable gear, Frog Tog is rain gear that's like 20 bucks at like Walmart. Used it for years. Absolutely awesome. This is actually an Eddie Bauer like Gore-Tex top, but Frog Togs are great too. No matter what, you should always have some type of rain jacket with you. Not just for rain, but at night, in the evening, when it gets cool. It's a great thing for like cutting the wind if it's really cold, those types of things. So I do believe you should have a shell at all times. And what I do is I just use one that doubles as a shell and rain gear, which is really handy. So that way it's doing both duties. All right, so then the top, this pack actually is a rolled top. This is not a waterproof pack, but water will go off of it for a while, but it will seep through when backpacking. So now we've got our inside done. And most of the day, I will not even actually go into this as we're hiking and stuff until we get to camp. So next let's go water bottles. I have turned to just using like smart water bottles or life water bottles. These are really perfect, and you just buy them on your way up there. Why I like them is because my water purifier, whether you use a Sawyer or Hydro Blue or those types of purifiers, screw right on here and you can filter with them. Usually I'll take like 2 of them, and one will become kind of dirty water and one will become clean water. You have to mark them somehow. I'd put a rubber band on there at times too, or a piece of cordage or whatever. But it's nice to be able to have this that you can quickly just get water and then cap it off and then later purify it. But I have taken, so those usually go on the side, but I always take 2 water bottles no matter what, especially when there's something light like that, just because if one breaks, you still have a water bottle. I'm really interested if anybody does this, but I think it's a lazy thing, is that I've used these water bottles that, you know, filter as you go along. They're not purifiers, but they're filters. I love just having this hang on my pack, and then if we come across a creek or a lake or anything like that, I can just kind of dump it in there and then put it on and then just keep drinking. It's a little bit of a lazy way to hike, but it's really nice not having to get the filter out and squeezing it and doing all that type of stuff. The one thing is, I have the Hydro Blue and the Life Straw. I feel like the Hydro Blue doesn't go down to as many microns, but this one gets harder to suck through quicker, if that makes any sense. It's smaller microns and everything, but does a great job. So water purification, water filter, not purification, water filter bottle is a big deal there. So put that one on that side, but usually I have it hanging on the front. So now let's get to the brain. What do we put in the brain? The actual lid of the backpack. I really love, whoops, looks like I put this on wrong the last time. I love having a lid on top. Sometimes if I want to go super light or one night, I'll leave the lid home. But for me, it's things like things that I don't care being dirty or whatnot. So my bathroom tools, and my flash, my headlamp, I kind of like up there because it's super handy and you can grab it right away. Especially if you end up night hiking or whatever, you can just grab it right from there. And then my head wrap. Most of the time this is around my neck or around my neck or on my arm or on my head. These wraps are awesome. I'm kind of addicted to them, and if you don't have one, you should definitely get one because they're just so useful in so many different ways when you're hiking. You can also wear it at night. If you're new to backpacking, just know that you should have something for your head to cover when you're sleeping at night because so much of your heat leaves through your head at night. So you should have something to cover it. But I keep it in here, but to be honest, it's usually I'm wearing it and it's on. This is a little side pouch that I made out of Dyneema, and it holds my water purifier. So in here, I think I have a Sawyer and a Hydro Blue, but I think this is a Hydro Blue. Yep, so this is the Hydro Blue one that I was talking about. It just threads right on the top of the bottle and you can drink right from that. And then I've got this bladder as well, little platy bladder that you can get water out of and then thread it on there and then squeeze it out. I do have to say these are kind of a pain. I'm not a big fan because they're kind of hard to fill underwater because they don't want to balloon up real well. I wonder what you guys would use. Would you use these or just go right to the life bottle? I think those are a lot easier than the actual life bottle, or then the bladder. The life bottle is easier than that. But what I like is to be able to put my water purifier on the side here. It's away from everything, won't contaminate anything else, and it's real handy for if I stop and see a place where I can get some water. Then lastly are my front pockets. Mainly my front pockets, let's see if I'm just barely in screen here, but my front pockets are for things like, you know, nutty butters, granola bars, food, snacks, that type of stuff. But I also have this OR, it's really a water bottle holder, but I put all types of trail mix in here, and because I'm a grazer, I eat all day long when I'm backpacking, just kind of keep eating and keep it going, and that type of thing. And then of course a compass. I don't know, those kids these days probably don't know what compasses are, but man, I loved orienteering. I used to do so much just open woods hiking and trail backpacking and that type of thing. So knowing how to use a compass and to read when the sun goes up and down and where north and where east and west are and all those types of things are really good. So when you're out there, learn how to use a compass. So ultimately, when this pack is fully packed like this, what I have is the big part of the weight is right here against my back, and then the lighter stuff's out around here. So right against my back is the weight, and it really gives you a stable walk when you're out there. Some of you might ask how much I actually have in my pack and how much weight. My base weight minus water and food is 17, it basically is 18 pounds, which I love. I mean, when I did Iowa Royal way back in the day, I had like 60 pounds. That's like wild these days, you know? So if I can be under 25 pounds, that's awesome. I believe you hike the hike that you want. Of course you don't want to have like such a heavy pack that it's like unbelievably unbearable, but you can definitely carry more than what some ultralights might carry, like 12 pounds, those types of things. If you're doing the AT, for sure you want to be light because you're going to be trying to bag like 18-20 mile days, and I'm just not that, you know. I mean, I think in my good old days, I would do like 14 to 16 mile, and those were pretty good days. Of course, we carried heavier packs back then. So that's basically how to pack a pack. And